All right, y'all. Welcome to MJ and the Word podcast. I am MJ.
And I am the word, BJ Word to be exact.
And we are so excited, y'all, because we are officially at the end of this season, right? This is our
Yes,
season finale. And we have learned so much through this process. We've
yes.
learned a lot about the podcasting process, which is its own beast. And then we've learned a
Right.
lot about ourselves on the way too. And just,
Yeah.
just some of the different reactions we've gotten from people emailing us and messaging us and just reaching out saying like, that was really impactful. Thank you for sharing that. It's
Mhm.
just been such a beautiful process. And, I mean, what do you think, BJ? I've enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, this is episode 13, I think. So that wraps this season for us. And my main reason, I know we talked about it, but for wanting to just kind of put a bow on it for everybody is to just talk to women about, what we've learned, some of the ups and downs, because you don't always hear that in the middle of it. You know what I'm saying? Like you hear people's success stories after they're a millionaire or after they got 100 million followers or whatever, after they got the 2 million on YouTube. Then people go back and tell you, oh, well, this is where I started. And I think it's kind of hard sometimes to make the connection because all you see is this person who's now hugely successful and they're telling you, oh, well, I started out with nothing. And you're like, oh, yeah, we're right. So I think it's so important for us at this grassroots level, as people, so people can really go back and follow our journey. So we're not at the place where we had that million followers yet. We're not at the place where, we're making $1 trillion from our podcast or have that, huge YouTube following yet. But yeah, it's been worth it. It has every single step that we've had to take for me has been worth it.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? I'm glad you touched on that. Like, you have to embrace the journey, right? And we've talked about that in like other podcast episodes when it comes to other aspects of life. But that's when you start anything new. And
Mm,
so Jay and I will be fully transparent with you all. You talked about the grassroots process. It is a process.
yes,
Like we don't have communications backgrounds, marketing, IT, none of that. So we're trying to figure out how to upload properly, how to sync different things together, how to time
mhm.
episodes, how to crop episodes. And I mean, it was one of those things. There were some days I was like, Lord, can you please just send us an intern or somebody who is really tech savvy and has that marketing background
Yes.
who can help us. But now I look at it like if we had that from the beginning, we wouldn't appreciate the journey as much.
Oh, that's good.
We had to learn how to do these things because then we'll be much more appreciative when we do have like an intern helping us with this. So that's
Yes.
that's that's what it's been for me. Like I've been having so much fun on Canva now, just like, oh, what do you think about this, BJ, design and stuff? And
Right.
I had that experience otherwise.
Right, right. Oh, that's so good that you said that. Like, if we had all that stuff from the beginning, we wouldn't really appreciate the journey as much, and we wouldn't have learned some of the things that we've learned. And for me, it's really been a mindset shift because I have really had to change my idea of what success looks like. And I
Mm.
think for so many people who start out doing anything, whatever kind of project it is, you have this idea of success and you're comparing yourself, to something you may see on social media or the way this person is doing it, or oh my God, they got the perfect lighting situation, or man, their makeup is perfect. They got a wardrobe person. You're comparing to all these different things, or how many books somebody sold. Their book cover may look great and yours may look like you drew that joint at home because that's all you could do. So if you're comparing yourself to somebody else and to what success looks like for them, you can easily not realize that you're successful. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I shifted my mindset because 13 episodes from zero, that's a success. The show is already successful. So I've even am changing my verbiage and not being like, well, when it's successful, when it takes off, baby, it already took off. Okay. Because it has gone from an idea in MJ's mind to an initial meeting where we were both still employed somewhere by somebody, and now we have both stepped out. You know, we both had employers, and now we've both stepped out into entrepreneurship, and where it's gone from no podcast to now 13 episodes of a podcast, and that is successful. It went from nobody ever hearing the show to now however many people listen to it. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's really a lot of, I think, people's mindsets can really keep them in a discouraged space, or in a space where they feel like they're not moving fast enough. You got to change, make your own definition of success.
I love that. Oh, and you know what? One thing I started doing, BJ, like ever since we started our podcast, is because I have some of my favorite YouTubers I follow on YouTube, and then podcast folks. But what I did specifically with YouTube, because you can kind of see the person, I would go back and watch some of their old stuff. And you see, like, if you look at the number of views, it's not as high. The lighting, some of those are really bad, and the audio may not be as crisp. But then you see that transition over time, you see the progress. And so a lot of times when we tune into these YouTube channels and we get hip to somebody, we only see them like once they've been in the game 3-4 years. But we don't always see that those beginning stages where they're kind of awkward on camera, they can't really figure out what to do. And so it's nice being able to see that, because it reminds me, like, for us, now we don't have like fancy equipment right now. We don't have a fancy studio and all of that. But it'll get there. It's just enjoy the process. Enjoy every step of the way, because when you do get there, it's so much sweeter. Like, oh yeah, we started from the bottom. Literally, we are like trying to figure it out on our own with no experience.
And I think that's so important for people to understand, because if nothing else, I want women in particular, their takeaway to be, girl, get started. Y'all go back and listen. Girl Start That Business was one of my favorite. I think every show, I've had favorite moments in every single show, so I can't just pick a favorite topic, but get started with what you have. If you bake cookies and every time people eat them, they're like, oh my God, you should sell these, then go ahead and put them in a Ziploc bag and start selling them. Like, some stuff you're not going to know until you do it. You're not going to know what you need to correct until you realize that it's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna make this analogy, okay? If God made like all this stuff, like everything, he made all this stuff, all these people, to 6 days, then he made the man, and he like, okay, cool. Then he looked back and was like, he need a partner. That I'm not finished with my work, because dude need, you know what I'm saying? It's not good for this dude to be by himself. He could have made both of them at the same time. Y'all realize that? But he made the dude, he looked at the dude, and then said, it's not good for this dude to be by himself. So let me add something to this. So my point in all that, if that's was God's process, what make you think you're going to have it all when you first step out, or that you won't have to go back and add something later, or you won't look at something and say, this is cool like it is, but it'll be better if I do this. It's not good for this to be this way. I need to make it that way. But so many of us are so busy trying to avoid any type of mistakes. We're trying to avoid any type of failure, and we're trying to be perfect right out the starting gate, that we don't even start. So we just get paralyzed. And I tell people all the time, shooting for perfection will paralyze you. It will have you standing still, saying that because this is not exactly right, because I don't feel like I know what I'm doing, I don't want to launch out. And a lot of times that's just your ego. That's your ego. You don't want to I used to be like that. I didn't want to make any mistakes in front of people. So a lot of stuff I just wouldn't even try. So something like this with the podcast, we've had to go through our ups and downs while we have an audience. You know what I'm saying? But that's the best way to know what you got to change, and how you going to know where you're headed or what you need to correct until you put the first model out there in the first place. So jump on out.
Yes. Oh, so many gems. And you know what, sis? This is the thing. If you look at most people's journeys, like people who are really successful now, because I'm even thinking about like inventors and different creatives. They built the plane as they were flying it, and they were cool with that. So I love the analogy you use with Adam and Eve. And that building the plane as you fly it analogy popped in my head. Because I mean, if they waited until everything was lined up and perfect, they would have never reached that success where they are today. And so for anybody who's listening who's like hesitant about just jumping into whatever project or whatever new thing you want to start, just build it as you fly the plane. Like sometimes you have to just build it.
Sometimes you have to, because you'll be waiting forever. And, you know, we use finances a lot of times as an excuse to kind of just start with what you got. And, you know, one thing that my bishop in Atlanta used to say all the time is, you know, use a pencil. Life, you need to use a pencil. Most of the time when you're working on stuff, it's about having a pencil present, because you can just, you erase things and you rewrite. You can make corrections as you go. And you can't, I think embracing, I used to teach this to college students a lot. Embrace the fact that you are going to fail at some things. You are going to make mistakes. You are going to have problems along the way. Just go ahead and embrace that. You're sitting up here in your life trying to avoid failing. You're going to avoid living.
Oh, that's a t-shirt. If you avoid failing, you are going to avoid living. And the greatest people, like that, some of the greatest, most successful people, what made them great is because they failed so much over and over. And they learn from it every time. They were like, "Oop, nope, that didn't work. Let me tweak this. Oops, nope, that didn't work." It's almost like being a scientist, right? You're in the lab, you're doing experiments. Nope, that's not it. Go back to you go back the next day, you're trying something else, you're mixing up other stuff. And then you finally find a solution, right? And that's how it is with anything in life. When you think about it, no matter anything you start, you go back to the lab every day and you tweak it and refine it until it's where it needs to be.
Absolutely. That was good about that. Y'all don't steal that. We're gonna put that on a t-shirt. We claim copyright right now. Okay, it's ours. If Jan the Word said that, if you're trying to avoid failing, you are going to avoid living. Okay, it's ours. All right. But that is so true. And I heard a story, and I don't know, I've never looked up the validity of it. So y'all don't drag me if it's just an urban legend. But I heard that medicine, 666 medicine that they used to give people all the time back in the day, that's good for everything. I don't know if they still make it, but I heard that they named that medicine 666 because they failed on the first 665 attempts to make it, to get the product right. So I've heard that you know, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, triple six," but I've heard a story behind that's why they named it that, because that's how many times they had screwed it up, or it took them that long to get it right. And you know, I think you should just let that be encouraging to you. And one thing that people ask though during that process, during the see, I'm having issues on YouTube right now. Like, why is that doing it? But okay, whatever, keep going. So one thing that people ask is, how do you keep from getting frustrated when you're going through those ups and downs, or when things are not moving the way that you want? And I don't know that you totally avoid frustration. I mean, we've had some frustrations. We've had we've had a lot of frustration during this process. People just don't know, like, so many things I wish we had. Like, I wish I had the money for a makeup artist before every show. To be honest, this is why y'all see me plain face with just lipstick on, because I don't know how to do makeup like that. Like, you know, in the times when I've tried to do it, I have to take it all off, and then I'm texting MJ saying, "Girl, I'm coming for the recording, hold on." And then I'm in there looking like a raccoon. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going with my face like this until we have that moment for somebody to do it. So the frustrations are going to happen, but what keeps me going is knowing that this is part of my purpose. This is where I come alive. Like, I know that I'm a part of something special when I'm a part of this show. So the frustrations don't outweigh the purpose of what we're doing for me.
Yes, I love that. You know what? And going back to purpose, and yes, I'm about to go here, clutch your pearls.
Yeah.
Sometimes we got to stop and ask ourselves, by me not starting something, am I not living in my purpose? Am I not doing what God put me on this earth to do? And so sometimes you got to think about it like that too. Like, if you don't take that first step, you're
Yes.
not doing what you are meant to do,
Do.
essentially. And sometimes
See,
you got to go for it because you don't want to be in a position where you're like, you look up like, I wish I would have done that. I know that was something I should have done. I should have, could have,
yeah,
would have. You don't want to live in that space.
absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, straight up disobedience. We don't even look at it like that, because they only just teach you about the big old sins. Don't do this, don't do that. But what about when you have something special that you were called to do? And yes, it could be baking. You know what I'm saying? It's everybody. It's not gonna be a microphone. It's not gonna be a show for everyone. It may be, sewing, knitting, whatever your gift is that he gave you to use and to give to the world. You're in disobedience when you don't get started. And
Mhm.
it's like you're not just delaying yourself, you're delaying whoever you were sent to help.
Ooh.
And what challenged me too, MJ, was, because we always say this, I just want to help, if I can just change one somebody, then my living would not be in vain. Well, that don't feel so good when it's only one person buying your scarves that you made, or it's only one person listening to your show, or you only sold one book. But you have to remember that you did say that, okay? And you don't know how much you may be blessing somebody or how much you may be changing someone's life. So I really started to just change my mindset again. Like, if one woman listens to what we're doing and goes out there and changes the world because of something she heard here, then we've done something important, we've done something special. I don't have to wait until it's 2,000 people in order to celebrate. I don't have to wait until it's 2 million people in order to celebrate it. I can celebrate the fact that we've gotten emails along the way from one woman here, one woman over here, one woman over here saying, man, this really blessed me, this really helped me to think differently. That is important. So I said all that to say to people, don't discount your small beginnings. Don't discount, that one person's life that you may be changing, because you don't know what all is inside of that one person that you just, affected it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. There's so many quotables in there. I was like hanging on every word. I'm like, yes, yes, thank you. Yes. And you know what? Like going back to every person is put on earth for a purpose, right? We all have
Mhm.
something, we all have some type of gift. Just imagine, like this is one quote I like to I saw this the other day, and it's like think about the kind of impact you want to leave on the world. So think forward. Like don't focus on the now, but sometimes you got to think about, okay, 10 years from now,
Mhm.
or 20 years from now, or even after, I'm gone, because we're all gonna pass away. What do I want my legacy to be like? And
Yes.
you have to think forward a little bit in order to get started. Sometimes you just got to do that. Like I know I know a big part of my identity is community service and serving my
Yes.
community and uplifting people, especially those who are traditionally underserved, underprivileged. That's a big part of my purpose. So I keep that in mind. Like, okay, I know this is what I'm called to do. What do
Mhm.
I need to be doing now in order to fulfill that, in order to make
Yes.
sure that I'm living in my purpose? And so sometimes you need to think that way to help you get started on something too.
Yes. I mean, because we're all a part of a bigger whole. You know what I'm saying? We're all a part of a piece of the pie. So you may have to think about what piece you're serving for, down the road, and let that be part of your why. So when those times do get hard and get tough and the attacks come and all of this, and you start to wonder, go back to your why. What is the legacy that you're trying to leave? What were you trying to, 10 years from now, did you want this thing to say? That's part of your why, and you got to remember that. And along the way, just plant seeds. One of the most important quotes I think that I hold very dear is that you can count the number of seeds in an apple, but you cannot count how many apples in one seed.
Mm.
So I said that to say, so many times we just looking for the apples, man. That's the fruit. Where the money at? You know what I'm saying? Where the followers at? Where the people? Where this? Where that? We just looking for the apples, the evidence, the manifestation. but you just don't know what you're going to get out of planting one seed. So you don't know what you can do, what one show can do, what one book can do, what one, whatever one thing you start with. You don't know, because you can plant one seed in the ground and get a trillion apples. You just don't know. You can't count what all is in your seed. So, but I tell you one thing, it's definitely not gonna grow if you don't plant that joke in the ground.
Mm.
You gotta plant the seed if you want to harvest. You have to. Keeping it in your
Yes.
pocket is not gonna help.
Yes, I like that analogy too. Ooh, I mean, it's so many good analogies today. Listen, I'm gonna go back and be writing this down. But one other thing too that it made me think of when you talked about the seed being planted, I think it's Dr. King, and Dr. King would say, I mean, sometimes all you have to see is one step at a time. Like you don't have to see the whole end of the staircase. I think it was Dr. King.
Yes,
Just that's faith. And that's another thing too, stepping out on faith, right?
yes,
None of us know whether our ventures are going to be successes or not, but that's the beauty of faith, and just saying,
yeah.
I know God got my back. And when you don't do it and you let that doubt creep in, just think
Mhm.
about all that you're missing out on and all that others are missing out on because you let fear hold you back. So
Yeah.
sometimes you got to see it one step at a time, just, incremental. You don't have to see the whole big picture all of the time.
Exactly. And that is such a big, yeah, I'm a recovering perfectionist. I used to be the president of the club, and I'm not doing that anymore, because but that's one of the main symptoms, is that you got to see the whole thing. You need to see how the whole thing is going to work out. That's just really kind of a control issue, and that's ego too. You don't have to see how the whole thing. You don't need all the directions. You really don't. I'm one of those people. When I turn my GPS on, right? I'm not gonna just listen to the lady tell me what step to take next. I need to hit directions so I can see the whole thing. I gotta read all the way to the bottom and see exactly what each step is gonna be. That's not necessary when you're getting started with something. You don't have to know, everything. And just in terms of getting started, I wanted to say this to the ladies too. But because you may have a lot of different things inside of you, and you're wondering, like, what direction do I take, or where do I go, how do I get my message out? And I think the thing that makes MJ and the Word podcast so special is that we did this for ourselves as well. We needed this, and so that's where we knew where our calling was, or what our gifting was. This was a show that spoke to an issue that we were having, right? It spoke to our own problem. And so we knew that we were going to be able to reach other women with the same problem. And so I just want to say to people, the problem and the solution is on the inside of you. It's inside of you. Stop looking external for answers to your problem. Wherever your problem is right now in life, I bet you your gifting, your calling, the answer is all on the inside of you too. So whatever void that you see, and that thing that you're saying in your mind, I wish that they had such and such, such and such. I wish it was a way for such and such, such and such to be done. Sis, stop wishing. If my brothers listen to the show, stop wishing that it was a way for A, B, and C, and you go and be that way. Stop saying, I hadn't heard a show where there was spoken word being done, and then we go into talking about topics. We wanted a show like that. We wanted to listen to something like that. So MJ said, let's create it. You know what I'm saying? And
Exactly.
so as creatives, we weren't having a space to get that out, and to write poetry about the issues that we were going through. And so here we are being the answer. So that's what I would just say to people, like, whatever your issue is, start right there. If you know, like, man, I wish they had cookies with more cinnamon in them, man, you better go to the grocery store and get you some cinnamon, go and be the answer and start selling those. Because I think a lot of the most people that we quote unquote look at as successful in society, they saw some type of problem.
Right.
And they said, I'm about to invent something, because if it's a problem for you, it's going to be a problem for other people. And I just think that's important. One thing I heard this lady say is, she's a book author and a coach for authors, and she said, start like you writing this book to one person. Just if you're just doing this for one individual, you're answering a problem for one person. That person may be you. Start right there. So that's what I would say to people, like, what is the thing that you want to solve? Just for one person, and that person may be you. Start right there, because you never know, your millions might be right there.
That's it. Oh, and I love one thing you said, be the answer. Be the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all have that in us. We could all, I mean, even though we may not know what we're answering,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, it could be something where it's a pain point for you, and you're like, you know what, I know this got to be a pain point for other people. So
Yeah.
just start with that. Oh, I love that. That's another shirt. But anyway, anyway, I mean, this has been such a fun process. I mean, like, had some growing pains because we are not gurus in a lot of areas, but we've learned with time. And I think what I'm excited about next season is that we'll actually start being able to interview people and get some different perspectives. And so I think it's going to be, I mean, we have nowhere to go but up. And I'm glad people have got a chance to see our journey.
Yes.
Like, oh, okay, this is how they're progressing. This is what the direction they're going in. So
yes, I mean, y'all, it's so much that goes on behind the scenes, like where we just have to make it work. My mic started acting crazy like 2 episodes in. I had to, change it. Then my laptop started tripping. I had to use my phone. I couldn't get the level right. It was a couple times I had to put my laptop on the ironing board because the stand couldn't hold it. Then I had to the stand I had my phone. I remember episode MJ kept turning over while we were recording. It would fall on the floor. I had to stop, so I started using a music stand. Do whatever you gotta do. And MJ has had the tech issues, the Wi-Fi going in and out. Do what you gotta do, and just go ahead and just get started. And in all of that, I never once thought, you know what, maybe this is a sign. This is what people say. I mean, this is a sign I need to quit. No, maybe it's a sign you are doing exactly what you need to be doing, and you just need to toughen up a little bit. You just need to stick to it. Believe in yourself the same way you keep on sticking with that job. Come on, say amen, somebody. They're not giving you the resources that you need. You don't have the money you need in the budget. You don't have the tools that you need, and you show up every day and find a way to get that job done. Keep the same energy. Keep the same energy. Put that on yourself. Sprinkle that on you, okay? And keep that same energy and just push forward, y'all. Because I already know we headed up. I already know what's up. So, y'all better just come on, keep on rocking with us, because season 2, we've already started making changes and tweaks. And I'm just excited about, what y'all about to see. Y'all just stay tuned. I don't even want to reveal the surprises, but y'all stay.
Yes, please stay tuned. And if y'all don't take nothing else away from this, like we have said all throughout this episode, just get started. Whatever it is that you want to do, just get started, sis and brothers who listen to it. Everybody, whatever it is, go.
Yes, absolutely. Go for it. I promise it's going to be air for you, because this show has been air for me. It's one of the, when we get to record, it's like my favorite thing to do. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, man. You are waiting on you. Okay, the tomorrow you is waiting on you. All right, your audience is waiting on you. Your people waiting on you. God waiting on you. Stop making excuses. Let's go.
Come on, let's go. All right. Well, we will see y'all next season. Thank you for everybody who has been rocking with us. And if you didn't get a chance to see some of our previous episodes, if you're just like kind of joining us later at the end of the season, feel free, go back and watch, episodes 1 through 12 as well. And we appreciate every last one of you all. So thank you.
Yes, go back and listen. This is your time. You got a little break. Go back and listen to everything. We'll see y'all soon.
All right. Love y'all.
All right, peace.